So today we're cutting the rocks that we found on our Dugway geobed trip. We're also going to look inside some of the rocks we found at the Wonderstone quarry outside of Vernon, Utah. Like that one?
No, I found another one.
Can you show Daddy? Hey, are you happy?
Yeah.
These are really neat, but they look even cooler when you cut them and polish them. I am with a good friend of mine, Leland. What's up? Hey. We're gonna cut some of the wonderstone and the geodes that we found so far here in Utah. Check it out.
A lot of jasper. We got a little pocket of amethyst in there, so it's really, really cool stuff.
Now we're gonna try a more classic style geode. Hopefully this baby's hollow. So the next thing we're gonna wanna do is cut it flat on the bottom. Double geode, a bubble in a bubble. Lots of crystals, amethyst, that's really neat. Now we're gonna try some wonderstone. This stuff looks incredible when you cut it.
So I just cleaned up the sides with the blade. We can go back in. I'm gonna actually polish and get the rough like saw marks out using the Cab King. So this will be quite the cool little display piece.
When you're out there and you're finding these adventure trophies, neat rocks and stuff like that, fixing them up for display is even harder than finding them. Cutting them is only half the battle. Next, we're gonna polish them so that they'll shine and they'll just look better on your display. So by polishing the rock, you can go from this, which looks nice, to this. That is how big of a difference polishing makes. It's pretty huge. And what's going on here with the polishing is there's 6 different stages in the polishing process. From rougher to smoother at the very end. And when you hit smooth, that's when it shines. So as I'm high grading and going through the rocks that I have to cut here, Leland is showing me some of the stuff in his collection. Check this rock out. This isn't paint.
This is Calico Pyrite.
Calico pyrite, and it's like a rainbow sheen. Completely 100% natural. These are really neat rocks. I would love to find some of this out in the field.
That's what it looks like polished.
So I've pulled out 12 examples of each, 12 geodes, 12 wonderstone. And a giant slab of clamshell fossils I found back at the Little Grand Canyon. That was a fun adventure. So now we squared it off so it'll set on a counter better, and we can see inside this thing a little better. This piece of fossil rock deathbed, I guess it's called, because it's when the seabed fossilizes and traps a whole bunch of different animals or clams or whatever. You have multiple layers of fossils. Point is, this is too big for the polisher, so we're going old school and super cheap.
Granite countertop polish pads. You can get them on Amazon, like a whole set for like 30 bucks. Beautiful.
So there you go, and that's the key with everything. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get into hobbies like this. You can just get some 400 grit up to 800 really fine countertop sandpaper, and you could do this by hand and polish it up just like we're doing right now. Let's see what the final result is.
But that turned out. That is so cool. The little show bubbles.
So all these little thumbnail swirls here, these are all seashells entrapped in here.
Cool. Well, we got a lot of rocks to cut.
Dude, we got a lot of rocks. The fossil death plate, done. Now we're gonna move on to these geodes and this wonderstone. That's the cool thing about this tile saw. It's a continual blade, and Leland can explain it a lot better, but the bottom line is the blade's not gonna cut you. That's why you just saw him tapping his fingers on it. So in case anyone is wondering how Leland is cutting these rocks, just with a tile saw. You can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's, or any big hardware store. Now, if you're gonna be a serious rock hound and super duper into polishing and all that and making jewelry and stuff, you might wanna upgrade to a bigger saw, because you can see there's limitations on the depth of blade for a tile saw. So we have cut some wonderstone, we have cut some geodes. We're just gonna real quick throw it on the polisher and see how all this turned out. And this is the wonderstone, just cut raw. You can see the stripes, you can see that there's something going on there, but it looks even better like this. And that is a smooth, smooth finish. It almost feels like glass. Just ultra smooth, with absolutely no chemical, no oil, no sealer of any kind, just a polish. All right, so we have all of our rocks and geodes cut and polished. Unfortunately, we just didn't have enough time to put as much of a polish as we wanted onto these stones. But what we're gonna do now here in the garage is turn this into this. And that's what makes all the difference. And now don't get me wrong, these things just raw, just polished, even with a half-ass polish that we did, they still look really nice. I mean, you can see what's going on inside this wonderstone. But if you can't put a true polish on it like we could, you can take some mineral oil, polish it up like that, and that just makes it pop out real bright and shine very nice. Now this is just using basic mineral oil that you can get at any CVS, Walgreens, or Rite Aid, or almost any grocery store as well. There's also other products, other sealers that you can use that are way more permanent, that will keep this shine forever, or you can do a proper polish job to get it shining like glass. But now let me show you a closer look at what we did with some of these geodes and stones, and one of the reasons why cutting stones can be absolutely amazing. Check out what we did. So here's a few of the geodes that we cut, as well as the wonderstone. And as you can see, this stuff up front still hasn't been treated, whereas I just put the mineral oil on in the back there, and it just makes them shine bright. That's why that last final step after polishing, and even if you don't polish, just wash and coat with either mineral oil or a sealer, and there's a wide variety of different sealers, you can Google it. And then we have the geodes. We're gonna do the same thing. We polished them up as best we could with the time we had. Now what we're gonna do is put a little bit of that finishing touch on it to really make it shine, and I'll show you what I mean. With just a cut and a rough polish, with a little bit of the right treatment, that makes all the difference. And one of the really cool things about cutting them is you can kind of shape them. So we were experimenting with different ways to cut geodes. Check this out. So this little cube is hollow in the middle. We cut the exterior of the geode off to make it square, and then we have little peepholes through it where you can see the crystals. This was a really fun experiment, and I am super happy with the way it turned out. We're gonna start cutting geodes like this from now on. Well, at least some. And then we got this geode. This one was already broken when I dug it out, but what we were able to turn it into is basically a shot glass. As far as I know, I am the only person to have a geode shot glass. I still have to do a little bit of cleaning on the inside, and it's technically under a shot, but that is super cool. Literal geode shot glass. Yeah. We also cut some slices out of these geodes. And you can actually see the light shining through the crystal here and through the agate. So that's really neat. And if you get a nice big one of these, they look amazing hanging on the window because the light shines through in certain places. So this is a really fun experiment too. Then you have your classic geode. In this case, it's a double bubble. But look at those colors. That's amazing. So I'm just gonna spend a little bit of time over the next couple months or whatever with some 400 grit or really fine sandpaper and give these some extra finishing touch, give it all a nice good wash with water and soap, and then treat it all with some mineral oil, or I might look into getting some more proper permanent sealer. The point is, if you're into rocks and you like collecting adventure trophies like this, it's totally worth it to put a little bit of time and resource into being able to cut them and shape them, because then they make absolutely amazing displays. Of course, you have to keep 1 or 2 raw geodes completely untouched, because that's cool too. Looks like an ordinary rock, but there's crystals in there. Now that was a really fun experience. If you have an idea for an adventure that we should go on, please put it in the comment section. And if you're looking for some more adventure ideas, you can click one of these links and go to the page, because there's literally hundreds of other adventures going on there, and I hope to see you next time.